A loud knock broke the quiet night. Bassie felt a sharp pain in his chest as he fell on the wet ground. Rain poured down on the dark street in Calabar. His heart pounded fast. He tried to shout for help, but no sound came out. The world around him began to fade. In his last moment, Bassie saw a blurry shape above him. The person grabbed something from Bassie's hand. Bassie could not see the face clearly. Everything turned black and silent. Welcome to Royal Beat Tales. If you are just seeing us for the first time, please subscribe, like, and comment for more unique stories. Bassie opened his eyes again after some time. He stood up slowly, but something was strange. The rain was still falling, but he did not feel wet. He looked down and saw his own body lying on the ground, not moving. Bassie shouted, "Hey!" Now he understood he was now a ghost. He felt afraid and very sad. He remembered his wife, Ini, and his little daughter, Ima. He had promised to always take care of them. How could he take care of them now? Bassie ran back to his house as fast as he could. It was an average two-bedroom home in a quiet part of Calabar. The lights were off. Through the window, he saw Ini sitting on the sofa, holding Ima close. They were both crying. Bassie's picture was on the table with a candle beside it. They thought he was gone forever. Bassie felt a deep pain in his heart, even as a ghost. He wished he could hug them and wipe away their tears. He stepped inside the house. Ini did not see him. She could not feel him there. Bassie gently tried to touch her shoulder, but his hand went through her like air. Ini shivered and looked around, but she saw nothing. "I miss you so much, Bassie," she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. Bassie's eyes filled with tears too, but no one could see them. He spoke softly, "I am here, my love." But Ini did not hear his voice. Little Ima rubbed her eyes and looked around the dim room. She was only 5 years old with big, curious eyes. Suddenly, she opened her mouth in surprise. "Daddy," she said softly. Bassie was surprised. Ima could see him. He knelt down and opened his arms. Ima ran to him. To Ini, it looked like Ima was running toward empty space. But Ima felt her father's warm hug. Bassie held his daughter tight, even though he was not flesh and blood. "Ima, I am here," Bassie said gently. "Daddy is here." Ini watched her little girl talking to empty air. She wiped her tears. "Ima, my dear, what are you doing?" she asked in a tired voice. Ima turned to her mother with a smile. "Daddy is here, Mommy. He is hugging me," Ima said. Ini's face went pale for a moment. She managed a sad smile and patted Ima's head. "You miss Daddy, I know," Ini said softly. She did not believe Ima could really see Bassie. She thought Ima was pretending because she missed him so much. Bassie felt both joy and sorrow. He was happy Ima could see and hear him. But he was sad that Ini could not. He whispered in Ima's ear, "Tell Mommy I love her." Ima looked up at her mom. "Mommy, Daddy says he loves you," the little girl said in her clear, sweet voice. Ini began to cry again. She hugged Ima tightly, thinking her daughter was just pretending. "I love him too, very much," Ini sobbed. That night, Bassie stayed by his family. When Ima fell asleep, Bassie watched over her. He gently sang the song he used to sing for her every night. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." Ima smiled in her sleep, hearing her father's voice in her dreams. In the other room, Ini finally went to bed. She cried softly until she was too tired and fell asleep. Bassie moved close to his wife. He wished he could hold her hand. He remembered their happy times together. He thought of one special day, the day Ima was born. Ini had held their baby and cried tears of joy. Bassie kissed his wife's forehead and thanked God for their family. They had many dreams for the future. Bassie had promised to stand by Ini in good times and bad. Now Bassie was a ghost, but he still had a promise to keep. He had to protect his wife and child. He wondered what had really happened to him that night. Who was the blurry figure he saw? How did he truly die? Bassie closed his eyes to think. He remembered walking home in the rain after a late shift at work. Then he heard the loud bang and felt the pain. Was it a robbery? Did someone shoot him just to steal something? The next morning, the sun shines through the clouds. Innie, who was awake early to prepare for Bassie's funeral that day. She dressed Ima in a simple black dress, and Ima held a small flower. Bassie watched with a heavy heart as Innie also dressed in black and covered her hair with a scarf. At the funeral, Innie and little Ima wept by the graveside while Bassie watched unseen. Some neighbors whispered that Bassie's death was a robbery gone wrong. Victor, Bassie's best friend, stayed by Innie's side and comforted her. He promised to take care of Innie and Ima. Bassie felt uneasy about the way Victor put his arm around Innie. After that day, Victor visited Bassie's house regularly. He brought food and helped Innie with chores. "You need rest, Innie," he would say kindly. Innie was thankful. "Thank you, Victor. You have been so helpful. I don't know what I'd do without your support," she said one evening. Bassie stood in the corner watching. He wanted to like Victor for helping his family, but a worry was growing in him. One evening during dinner, Victor reached over and held Innie's hand gently. He told her that she was not alone. Innie blushed and looked down. Bassie felt a feeling of anger. Little Ima suddenly said, "Daddy is angry," and she pointed at an empty chair. Victor quickly pulled his hand away and forced a laugh, saying Ima was just imagining things. That night after Victor left, Innie carried Ima to bed. Then she sat on her own bed, holding a photo of Bassie. She whispered, "I feel so lost without you." Bassie sat next to her, though she did not see him. He wished he could reply. Instead, he listened as Innie spoke to the photo. "Victor has been so kind, but I don't know. It feels so soon to have someone else around. I still feel you here somehow." Bassie smiled a little when he heard that. He leaned in and softly kissed Innie's cheek. She did not see him, but she felt a sudden warmth and a tear rolled down her face. She held the photo close and lay down to sleep. Bassie left the house that night to follow Victor. As a ghost, he found he could move very quickly, even float above the ground. He wanted to know more about Victor's intentions. Victor walked down the street under the streetlights. His face changed. He did not look sad or kind now. He looked worried and angry. Bassie silently followed. Victor entered his own home and went into a small study room. Bassie slipped through the wall to watch. Victor made a low phone call. Bassie overheard him say that everything went as planned to look like a robbery. Victor mentioned getting money and told someone to keep quiet, or they would both go to jail. Bassie felt a cold chill run through him, even as a ghost. Victor was talking about a plan involving money and making something look like a robbery. Bassie realized with shock that Victor was behind his death. His best friend had planned to kill him. Anger and pain filled Bassie. He wanted to grab Victor and shout at him, but he had no body to do that. He watched as Victor ended the call and opened a drawer. Inside the drawer was Bassie's missing wallet and phone. Victor also took out a small handgun and tucked it away in a bag. Bassie now knew the truth. Victor killed him to steal money and to be with Innie. Bassie's mind was racing. How could Victor betray him? They had been friends for years. Bassie remembered his wedding day. Victor had been the best man, smiling big and shaking Bassie's hand, wishing him joy. But later that night, Bassie caught a strange expression on Victor's face as Victor watched Innie dance. It looked like envy. Bassie had ignored it then, thinking he imagined it. Filled with anger, Bassie hurried back to his own home. It was midnight. The house was quiet and dark, except for a small nightlight in Ima's room. Bassie found Innie awake, sitting on the bed and praying. She prayed for strength and for the truth about what happened to her husband. Bassie felt great sorrow seeing her so hurt. He gently touched Ima's shoulder to wake her. Ima opened her eyes and saw her father's ghost. "Daddy?" she whispered. He nodded and put a finger to his lips. "Shh. Come with me, sweetie," he said softly. Bassie led Ima to the living room quietly. He spoke softly. "Ima, Daddy needs your help. We have to help Mommy and keep her safe." Ima nodded bravely, even though she was only a little girl. "Uncle Victor is not a good man," Bassie said gently. Ima frowned. "But Uncle Victor brings us food and toys," she replied. Bassie shook his head. "It is a trick. He hurt Daddy," he explained. Ima's eyes widened. She understood enough to know Uncle Victor did something very bad. "What do we do?" she asked in a tiny voice. Bassie felt proud of his daughter's courage. "We need to show Mommy and the police what Uncle Victor did," he said. He remembered Victor's drawer with the wallet, phone, and gun. Those items would prove what Victor did if someone found them. Bassie had an idea. "Tomorrow, when Mommy is not looking, take her phone and hide it in your pocket. Daddy will help you use it later," he instructed. Ima agreed, though she looked a little confused. The next day, Victor came to visit again. It was the weekend, and he offered to take Ini and Ima for a short drive to cheer them up. He said maybe they could go get ice cream. Ini was hesitant, but agreed, thinking it might help Ima feel happy for a while. Bassie went along, unseen, sitting next to Ima in the back seat. As Victor drove, Bassie kept an eye on him. Victor smiled and chatted, but Bassie could see Victor's eyes in the rearview mirror. They looked cold and nervous. Victor stopped at a small shop to get ice cream cones. The sign read, "Mama Edette's Ice Cream" on Marion Road. While he was out of the car, Bassie quickly whispered to Ima, "Now, use Mommy's phone. I will guide you." Ima pulled out Ini's phone from her little pocket. Bassie placed his hand over Ima's hands. Together, they managed to dial the number of a police officer who was a family friend, Officer James. Ima remembered him from the funeral. Bassie whispered to Ima what to say. When Officer James answered, Ima spoke softly. "Hello, this is Ima. My daddy told me Uncle Victor hurt him. He has Daddy's phone and a gun. He is bad." Officer James was surprised and concerned by the child's call. He knew Ima was Bassie's daughter. He kept his voice calm and asked, "Where are you, Ima?" Ima looked at the shop and answered, "We are at Mama Edette's Ice Cream on Marion Road." Officer James replied, "Stay calm. I will be right there." Ima hung up just in time as Victor returned with the ice cream. She slipped the phone away. Her hands were shaking a little, but Bassie gave her a ghostly pat on her back to assure her. Victor drove everyone back home after the treat. As they got out of the car, a police car pulled up quietly. Officer James and another policeman stepped out. "Victor," Officer James called, "we need to ask you some questions at the station." Ini looked confused and worried. "Officer James, what is this about?" she asked. The officer gave her a gentle nod. "It's about Bassie's case. New information came up," he said. Victor's face went pale. "Oh, sure, but can it wait?" "We just came back," he stammered. Little Ima stepped forward bravely. "Uncle Victor, you took my daddy's wallet and phone. They are in your drawer," she said. The officers exchanged looks. Victor glared at Ima, anger flashing in his eyes. "What are you saying, child? That's not true," he snapped. Ini gasped. "Victor? Why would Ima say that?" she asked, her voice shaking. Bassie stood behind Ima, his hands on her shoulders, giving her courage. Officer James took a step toward Victor. "We have to search your house, and we need you to come with us," he said in a firm voice. Suddenly, Victor grabbed Ini and pulled her close. He pulled out the small gun from his waistband and pointed it at Ini's side. "No one move!" he shouted, his voice shaking. Ini froze in fear. Ima screamed, "Mommy!" Bassie's ghost felt worried. The officers raised their hands, trying to calm him. "Victor, don't do this," Officer James said carefully. Victor backed up toward the house door with Innie as a hostage. "I did everything for her," Victor shouted, his eyes wild and full of tears. "Bassie did not deserve her. He had everything, a good job, a loving family. It should have been mine." Innie started to cry, now understanding that Victor had killed her husband. "How could you, Victor? We trusted you," she cried. "You will be mine, Innie," Victor shouted. "Without Bassie, you have only me. I won't let anyone take you away." Bassie's ghost could not let this continue. He looked at Ima and whispered, "Stay here." Then Bassie rushed at Victor. With all his might, Bassie pushed against Victor's shoulder. For a moment, Victor felt like a strong force had hit him. He stumbled and let go of Innie. Innie broke free and ran to Ima. The distraction was enough. Officer James jumped forward and grabbed Victor's arm. The gun fell to the ground. The other officer helped hold Victor down. Victor screamed and fought, but they held him tight. "It's over, Victor," Officer James said as he snapped handcuffs on Victor's wrists. Victor started to cry. His anger was gone, and he looked scared. He kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry," over and over as the police led him to the car. As the police car drove Victor away, Innie knelt down and hugged Ima close. "My brave girl, what did you do?" she asked softly. Ima looked up at her mother, then over at Bassie's ghost, and smiled. "Daddy and I made a phone call," she said innocently. Innie's eyes widened. She remembered feeling something when Victor stumbled, almost like someone else was there. Now she truly believed that Bassie's spirit had been watching over them. Relieved and still grieving, Innie cried softly. She whispered, "Thank you, Bassie. I know you are here." At that moment, Bassie stood in front of her and Ima. He wished more than anything that he could wipe away her tears. Ima reached out and held her father's ghostly hand. Innie could not see him, but she felt calm and peaceful around her. The sky, which had been cloudy, finally let a ray of sun shine through. Later that evening, after they told the police everything, Innie and Ima returned home. They were tired but grateful that the truth was out. Victor would face justice for what he had done. Bassie's soul felt lighter now that his killer was caught. Days later, Innie sat on the bed with Ima, reading a storybook before sleep. Ima suddenly looked up and said, "Mommy, Daddy is sitting with us." Innie gave a gentle smile. This time, she believed her daughter. "Thank you for staying with us, Bassie," Innie said into the air, hoping he could hear. After Ima fell asleep, Bassie knew it was time to say goodbye. Justice had been done. He kissed Ima's forehead and gently wiped the tear from Innie's cheek. In her half-sleep, Innie whispered, "I love you, Bassie." A bright light called Bassie home. He looked at his wife and child and whispered, "I love you both. Be happy." And then he was gone. In the morning, the house was peaceful. Sunlight shines through the window. Innie woke up feeling at peace. She could not see Bassie, but felt his love around her. Little Ima woke up and ran to the living room. "Daddy is gone, Mommy," Ima said quietly, looking around. Innie knelt and hugged her daughter. "He may be gone from our sight, but he will always live in our hearts," she said gently. Mother and daughter held each other, filled with love and hope. They knew Bassie's spirit would always watch over them. With justice done, Bassie's ghost could finally rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment for more interesting stories.